Hi, and welcome to this Pathway for Patient Health module on programmatic analysis in R, or really whatever language you like. We're going to focus on R during the course of our conversations, but these same principles can really be applied to Python, Julia, anything else that you might be interested in. Before we dive in, I want to give you a brief introduction to myself and help set the table for what we're going to discuss during this module. So my name is Alex Rose. I am an associate manager of data analytics for Edwards Life Sciences, and I focus on global supply chain and the factory of the future in a company that is in the medical device industry. Edwards Life Sciences focuses on a variety of devices, but primarily we build things that help treat structural heart disease. Now, let's talk a little bit about this course. I wanted to design this module in such a way to ensure that we could give you some of the theory and some of the foundational understanding that you need in order to write automated programmatic scripts that will help you conduct data analysis. But I wanted to make sure that you walked away from our relatively short time together with some practical skills. So even though this process will start with some theoretical elements, we're pretty quickly going to get into some hands-on sections where I will be basically doing some recorded coding sessions with you, and I would encourage you to follow along. I'll provide you some resources to help get programming language, in this case R, installed on whatever computer you're going to be viewing this information on. It is easiest if that is an actual laptop or desktop computer. It's going to be a little bit more challenging to do that if you're trying to do it from a tablet, or if you're trying to do it from a phone. That would actually be pretty problematic and pretty challenging. So as you proceed through this course, particularly when we get into the hands-on sections, please come prepared with some sort of traditional computer, basically something that runs either Mac OS, Linux, or Windows 10 probably being the best and most current version of that. We're going to introduce a common business case and use that as a vehicle for learning. So there's going to be a hypothetical business case we'll look at. I'll provide an introduction to that business problem, and then we will dig in. So I'm definitely looking forward to going down this path with you. I want to talk about the learning outcomes or the expectations that you should have by the time you complete this module. So we will be using a tool called a Pareto analysis to look at defects in a manufacturing environment. So you can expect to become more familiar with that style of thinking. I will also get you some exposure to code-based and programmatic analysis as a tool for solving business problems. We'll talk first about kind of introductory code and some of the simple things that you can do and express via code in order to accomplish what you're looking for. And then we'll sort of graduate into an iteration-focused programming session where the goal will not be just to accomplish an analytical task through some code, but rather to write code in such a way that it is scalable and repeatable, meaning that I can set it on top of a new data set, provided that that data set is similar in a few key ways to, the trial data set that I used to write this code, and have it execute and provide analytical insight with minimal additional maintenance. So we'll build to that, and by the time that we conclude our final hands-on session, you should be able to write some simple scripts that will help you to repeat analysis as often as necessary, and to do so in a way that is, again, programmatic. We'll also talk about when it makes sense to do something in a programmatic fashion versus when it might be better to take more of a one-off approach and do something in what may be a more quick and efficient way rather than going through the process of writing a full-on automation script. And you should feel confident that you have the basic tools that you need to start learning more about coding. You're not going to be an expert after our couple of hours together, but this should put you in a position where if you want to learn more, you're well equipped to do so. So let's jump into kind of how we'll be spending our time together. You'll notice that we start kind of with this introduction. That's the conversation we're having right now. After that, we will discuss some of the core concepts associated with code-based analysis and then programmatic and iterative analysis. I will set up some information and provide some context for a business case. We're going to be doing a defect analysis of a suture manufacturer, so like needle and filament that are used in a surgical environment. I will also give you a quick introduction to what you need to do in order to set up your environment and install R, and the program that we use to write R code in this module is called RStudio. So I'll coach you a little bit along those lines. And then we have 3 hands-on sessions. The first hands-on session is really just an introduction into R and RStudio. I'll give you a tour of the software, talk you through some of the different file formats that are common in an analytics workflow based in R, and introduce you to some of the basic functions that you can use in R for this kind of analysis. We will then step into our case study and actually conduct a Pareto analysis for a single model number or a single product. And that will help us get acquainted with some things like packages, with how we read data into our environment, and as well as doing some things to prepare our data for the analytical tools that will be required when it comes time to actually sit down and execute things. And then in our final hands-on session, we'll sit down and we'll take a look at the code that we wrote in case study part number 1, and we will improve upon that code to help it be scalable so that we can then run that same script and have it effectively complete an analysis regardless of how many products it's analyzing. So in our test data set, I think we have about 9 different products. So that's kind of where we'll start. But the methods that we'll explore in part 2 of our case study work just as well for 9 products as they would for 900 products. And there are some additional things that we might consider if we were really going to be doing an analysis that had so many underlying pieces to it, but the principles are still very much the same. That should put you in a position where you're ready, like I said, to dig a little deeper on your own and start your own learning journey. And I'm really excited for the things that we have prepared. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.